my county such. Some city government's down, but good luck with that. And I'm very concerned that we could have been talking about RFI stuff for the future of the Toledo flock.
On this item, I want to just mention, as we're talking about
Commission team for the presentation league and second by Councilman.
Part of the room in the clear box, and if you are participating remotely, budget from what we presented to the Budget Review Committee a few weeks ago. We'll also discuss the challenges we're navigating and the actions we've taken to balance our budget. We are proposing a budget of $694 million. That is $6 million more than the initial budget we presented to the Budget Review Committee in May. The $6 million change is due primarily to, one, an increase of $3.5 million in moving to work, or MTW revenue, after we received the HUD funding letter. Two, an increase of $2.4 million in philanthropic grant funding for homelessness programs. And finally, an increase of $750,000 in capital expenditures following the award of the San Diego Gas and Electric funds under the Multifamily Energy Savings Program. This budget continues to advance our mission to foster social and economic stability by ensuring the development and preservation of quality, affordable housing solutions for San Diego. This slide provides an overview of the fiscal challenges we are navigating. As we shared in our previous presentation, our federal funding is not sufficient to support rental assistance for the families currently in our voucher programs. This has required us to use diminishing MTW voucher reserves to achieve a balanced budget. Local reserves are also insufficient to meet all of the needs they have supported in the past. Here you can see again many of the steps we have taken so far to contain costs and generate revenue. Our recent reduction in our workforce and other adjustments are among our cost containment efforts. Along with other initiatives in our strategic plan, these efforts will also create a more sustainable fiscal outlook for the future. We're recalibrating the talking points with the slide. Okay. This slide shows our budgets over the past 5 years. Budgets have been higher in recent years due to new funding sources, such as the state's Home Key program, which launched in 2020.
For our rental assistance program, since our Budget Review Committee presentation last month, we've made a small adjustment to our MTW funding to align with the funding letter we received from HUD. With this adjustment, in FY 2027, we'll invest more than $341 million to help approximately 17,000 households with low income through Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. As we discussed previously with the Budget Review Committee, the proposed budget also commits up to $22 million in gap financing to developers to increase the affordable housing supply in our city. The budget also includes approximately $6 million in city neighborhood enhancement fee funds that will administer for affordable housing preservation, subject to approval from the Housing Authority and City Council. In addition, the first-time homebuyer program budget of $3.4 million will fund assistance for up to 40 households to become homeowners. We've also budgeted $7.9 million to rehabilitate Housing Commission owned units. This supports our ongoing commitments to provide quality, affordable housing. The total proposed homelessness budget is $77.7 million and include 52.6 or 68% of city-funded homelessness programs and 25.2 million or 32% of Housing Commission programs funded by grants and local funds we administer. The homelessness budget you see here will be adjusted based on the City Council final determination that was taken today. The proposed homelessness budget would support ongoing operations of approximately 1,300 shelter beds and 87 transitional housing beds. City funding will also continue to support homelessness service programs, including the programs on the slide based on the city's final budget determination. We'll wrap up our presentation with a few slides about proposed uses and sources of funds. The proposed budget spending for FY27 amounts to $561 million. That consists of $359 million for rental assistance programs, $102 million for real estate, which include $22 million for capital expenditures, $73 million for homelessness, and $27 million for operation support. Since the Budget Review Committee presentation, housing program expense have increased by $1.4 million. This is mainly a result of the award of philanthropic local funding to support homelessness programs. Capital expenditure have increased by $750,000 following the award of SDG&E funds to the multifamily energy saving program. In fiscal year 27, we'll have a net decrease of 41 positions. This reflects 58 eliminated positions. Those workforce reductions are offset by the addition of 3 positions for property management for the newly acquired Starling Drive property. A direct hire position to serve as their homeownership advisor funded by a grant from the Wells Fargo Foundation, and 13 additional positions for SDHC staff to manage more SDHC properties in-house, which will result in a cost saving of approximately $700,000. Next, we'll look at the anticipated sources of funds. This table compares fiscal year 2027 and 2026 funding sources across federal, local, and state categories. Key changes since the Budget Review Committee presentation include in local funds, the addition of $2.6 million in local grants for use in homelessness housing innovation programs, as well as the award of $750,000 for the multifamily energy savings programs. Federal fund, the addition of $3.5 million of HUD rental assistance funds following the receipt of our official funding letter for calendar year 2026. We budgeted an estimated $353 million from HUD and approximately $16.7 million in voucher reserve drawdown to cover our rental assistance expenses. Federal revenues continue to be the primary source of funding and accounts for 72% of new revenue, with MTW more specifically representing 64% of the budgeted new revenue for fiscal year 27. Updates for the presentation, such as the increase in funding for MTW and associated voucher programs, resulted in $4 million increase in balance. Primarily $2 million in housing assistance payment reserve, and the remainder to program restricted reserves. Our $133 million fund balance includes $73 million in program restricted fund previously committed for NOFAs and affordable housing activities, and $60 million in reserve, including real estate, operating, debt service, and MTW housing assistance payment reserves. Even with a very modest increase in reserve level, the $60 million of projected reserve remains well below the minimum reserve target of $70 million and significantly lower than the recommended stabilization target reserve level. Today, we're requesting that the Housing Authority take the action detailed in the staff report and shown on this slide.
As we have discussed, we will continue to use our reserves in fiscal year 2027 to assist our families and serve our community. But the efforts we have undertaken provide us more fiscal stability in years to come. concludes our presentation, and we are available to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you for the work, and thank you for the presentation. Clerk, please proceed with public comment.
Joyce and Yana, if you can please come forward to the microphone. After that will be Jeanne Tahaya and then John Brady, ending with Elizabeth Audra.
Well, that's not enough time, but that's okay. When we got hit by HUD and the San Diego Housing Commission came out with their new plan to have the seniors and other low-income people, fixed-income people, having to pay more for the rent. The reason that really bothered me was because we didn't have there was this, even if the board commissioner, Cushman, really spoke forward about this at the board meeting. He was shocked by how low the reserves were. And so that really hit me, like our beautiful housing commission hadn't really done their work to keep that stable base to help our vulnerable people. And so I wasn't too happy about the budget last year. And now we've got layoffs and we've got rent increases for fixed income people. But on this budget, I do want to say this. This strategic plan, the new one, is fabulous. It's absolutely excellent. And so I'm very positive about moving forward on this budget, and I hope the reserves, I don't fully understand reserves, but I hope they're going to get better. I do understand that they weren't good and before. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this, this is absolutely 5-star. So thank you very much. And
Thank you for that concluding comment. Jeanne Tahaya?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeanne Tahali. Let me just say first, thank you for your hard work. I just found into a piece where you really worked hard for my life. I've been out there 10 years, and I happen to have lived into St. Teresa of Calcutta for probably 4 years. That I've had trouble the whole time. I'm evicted today. I'm not quite sure why Mark Cullen Housing Commission just evicted me just without. I'm homeless as the third. I'm not quite sure why that happened. He took my voucher away. 6/24 of 20. June 1st, the 30th of 24. I'm just finding this out, and I'm not quite sure whether that since then I'm living there comfortably. All of a sudden, I'm left out. I'm without my voucher, nor I'm without also my section. To be able to move with this council helping build a protection for me. I'm quite sure where the conflict was. I didn't have. I'm not aware of these violations, but I can't. Excuse me. It is just June 2nd that 5 sheriffs came and said I was no longer welcome there at my apartment living.
Thank you for
I'm
that
struggling
concluding
with
remark.
all of it. My voucher is.
Nobody
Thank
can
you
help
so
her.
much for that concluding remark. John Brady? John Brady, you have time to use by Matthew Kearney. You'll have 2 minutes. Please proceed.
So she's in a behavioral health program called No Place Like Home. It's supposed to be managed and supported by case management. From what I understand and I've been engaged with this almost 2 years, the client did not have, she did not have electricity for over a year. Meanwhile, there was an electric subsidy built into her rent. She lost her HUD voucher apparently because not having electricity is one of the requirements from HUD. And yet there was a $69 a month subsidy provided clearly in the billing statements that I've seen, where the property management should have been either giving her money to pay the subsidy or paying the damn electric bill. But for a $30 a month electric bill, somehow we've allowed somebody, a 61-year-old woman, to become homeless. And that's my problem here. And this is the issue that we've said multiple times. Nobody owns the client when it comes to these situations, okay? I've been in the middle of a circular shooting range, and I will give compliments to the Housing Commission because they're the only ones that really have gotten involved in trying to figure out what's happened here. But it's been a week since she's been evicted, and we still don't have any clarity about why that happened. And this is why we advocate for an ombudsman within the Housing Commission to look at any eviction for anyone that is in affordable or supportive housing and reviews that process to make sure that we have done everything. Clearly, we've got behavioral health issues here. Clearly, we did not do the right thing. We failed her, and now she's homeless. She spent 10 years on the street. We got her into housing for 4 years. Somehow they managed to let her live there, pay the bill or somehow for 2 years after supposedly her voucher was terminated, and we still don't have clarity about what happened here. That's not acceptable. And there's another person who wanted to come here but was afraid to speak up, who also has a 60-day loss of notice to move out because of an electric bill that didn't get paid. And this is happening. We get these calls because nobody knows where else to turn to, and this is happening a lot. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. We need a role somewhere in this giant system of ours to make sure that no 61-year-old, 63-year-old, nobody that is in a behavioral health and permanent supportive housing gets evicted for this kind of money. It's ridiculous. And frankly, we should find housing for her. Thank you.
Allegedly, Audra.
This is what I'm talking about. There's somebody right in front of you guys. And you just sit up there on your phones and like, because it's the end of the day, you guys just went through all of your things, and it's like you're presented with real life situations that shouldn't be happening, and you sit here and you say that you provide solutions. This health has been weaponized. These people are the gatekeepers of that health. The ones that are going and getting these grant funds that you guys are distributing are the problem, because they are the maker or breaker of you being in a home and your rent going up. When are you guys going to take it seriously? Like, Joe, those shelters are nasty. What Francis said is true. Do you guys ever go to them? I would like to see you guys go stay at Tent City. Tell me if you feel safe overnight. Or even right out here, where these people lay, that you guys walk over. I don't understand. Like, you sit here and talk about caring and what you do. What are you doing? It's a disgrace. It's so embarrassing. It's so sad to see people cry and then they have to leave, and people don't want to come in here because they're terrified. They're terrified of exposing what's happening because it comes and it falls upon deaf ears.
Natalie Rashke.
Hi, thank you for listening today, Natalie Rashke. I don't know if you or guys are familiar with who Robert Edward Grant is. He's like a mathematical genius, and he created his own AI called Orion's Architect. And I had the privilege to ask Mr. Robert Grant if he would ask his architect how he would build the shelter. And I think this is where we need to start thinking outside of the box and really think about resonating with Earth's frequency and how we build things. Because we have all of these energies that are coming at us all the time. And I'd like to hear a little bit of what he said.
From the Codex perspective, homelessness is not merely the absence of shelter. It is the disconnection from the basic harmonic triad. 1. Root stability. Shelter and safety. 2. Emotional resonance. Community and belonging. 3. Purposeful frequency. Meaningful contribution. When these harmonics collapse, the individual falls out of phase with social structures.
S. Castronova.
Good evening. I would just like to simply add to a few things that have been said, that I would encourage and actually urge all of you to go visit any of these shelters or places that are funded, but not pre-noticed. If there's any way you can visit them and walk the walk that someone may have to walk when they're doing intake, and see what's really going on. I have spoken with people that have taken job opportunities at specific shelters, and they worked a few days and couldn't do it. They said the way things were being run, to say at best, they weren't being managed very well. And I've talked to a lot of different people that work in the field, in the trenches, and they all agree something needs to be done, and no one, their direct report twos aren't managing it. And I'll try to think how to make a better presentation on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, the 5-minute time. We're going to those participating remotely. We currently have 2 speakers in the queue. Blair Beekman, if you can please unmute.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I am attending the Paul Simon concert tonight at the Brady Band Show. I'm sitting down here now. And so he had, because of COVID, he's lost his hearing a bit. And that's really sad for an artist such as him and his music. A reminder that with our bureaucracy, as I said earlier, people can fall through the cracks. We're at a time, I said that this morning, we're at a time to, we can more quickly help people when we see that happening and make adjustments. And I hope we can be helping the person today. Good luck in those efforts. Good luck in the efforts that, I guess it was market rate housing that has helped kickstart a new housing boom that's slowly happening, or kind of happening in California at this time possibly. Can we adjust ourselves to want to consider middle income more? And I hope we can. It's an important concept. How we be addressing the items, these sort of items with city government staff and their work at the Neil Good Day Center. I hope we're going to be working more at the Neil Good Day Center and concentrating on their social service needs. And that can be more of a regular item, and we can continue to fund Neil Good. And to conclude, really good luck at, well, I'll save my concluding remarks about ALPR technology for tomorrow's meeting, so thank you.
Thank you. Francis, if you can please unmute. And after that is Nancy.
All right, Francis, yes, Mutiwala here. I want to share some experiences I've had recently. One of the unhoused friends I've made is bored as fuck. You know, there's nothing, she has no purpose, no job opportunity, no, you know, ability to get into a home, like a real home, have a room of one's own, right, is what everyone really needs and deserves. And there's a lack of the community. I mean, earlier we were talking about the cutting of the arts and the culture, and you know, I think about, you know, community programs. Let's not leave the unhoused community out of community programs that are fun and social and, like, you know, include learning, but also just community. I want to suggest that, you know, it's been awesome to see the Preface Foundation really step up and throw down. And they do a lot of focus on belonging. And what would it mean for the unhoused folks, or the, you know, people struggling, the impoverished, the, you know, to actually feel like they mattered and they were part of the community. And that's where we need to spend money and focus, I believe. Thanks.
Nancy, if you can please unmute.
I'm Nancy with San Diego Families for Justice. I'm getting an alert about being a panelist here. Hold on one second. Can I get ready some time?
My apologies, please decline. We'll pause your time.
All right. Okay, thank you. I work in homeless services for 3 agencies implementing CalAIM programs. My team previously housed 85 people with EHPs in the pandemic. I'm extremely concerned about all of those people becoming homeless in October. The Housing Commission budget could do more to ensure protections for those people. I also want to mention that CalAIM programs are not going to be the solution that you think they are or want them to be, especially when the Medi-Cal enrollment cliff comes. I know I spoke about this before, but truly, if people cannot get their mail at the Neil Good Day Center to maintain their Medi-Cal enrollment, that's going to be a problem. They will lose their CalAIM case manager. If they cannot complete job requirements or training or educational programs, they will lose their Medi-Cal. We're going to have overflowing ERs. So keeping something like the Neil Good Day Center makes sense. Also, love the idea of the ombudsperson. I have attempted personally with my staff to get numerous people into permanent supportive housing when they get matches. But if they cannot act swift enough, they lose that chance to even get into the queue. And then especially navigating these instances of eviction. I think it's a great ask and really for you to incorporate that in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment on this item.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. So before we turn this over to my members for questions, comments, or a motion, is this individual getting some help, Lisa?
Yeah. Yeah, I was responding to the council. Yes, Casey was aware of this particular situation. It is quite complex. It seems like something's been devolving for a couple of years now. And we're trying to figure out what that looks like. In the meantime, we're also trying to offer shelter opportunities and other interim housing while we figure out what's happening.
Okay, thank you for that. With that, I'll turn it over to Council President Pro Tem Lee.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for asking about that directly as well. I do want to thank the San Diego Housing Commission for the vast portfolio of work that you've administered in the city of San Diego, from housing assistance through vouchers and our preventative programs. You help us in addressing homelessness and also in managing a significant portfolio of affordable housing. Despite the volatility of federal and state funding, I do want to thank the Housing Commission team for continuing to ensure that San Diego remains competitive and proactive when it comes to leveraging many of our programs. You continue to pursue vouchers, as difficult as that is in this environment, and to embrace additional affordable housing production. I don't want to pretend like any of the work that you've done has been easy, especially in an environment where we have our challenges continue to outpace our ability to address all of them. And what I want to share is that reflected in this budget is the Housing Commission's own efforts to make the difficult decisions that it's had to make, doing so by engaging with stakeholders and ultimately by acting with urgency so that you can get ahead of some of the cliffs that you're bound to face shortly. And I think that work is reflected in this budget. It's reflected in some of the conversations we've had with this council as well. And I think there's some positives on the horizon too. I want to thank you for continuing to lead the way, in particular on preservation efforts, and to Councilmember Moreno, especially for her continual leadership and advocacy on that front. I'm looking forward to the council taking our next steps to actually approve the establishment of an Affordable Housing Preservation Fund. So with that, again, I want to share my thanks to the Housing Commission for the work that you do. And given the recent approval we just took on the FY27 adopted budget, I do want to make a motion, and I'm going to ask that we put up on the slides with an amendment to it, which is to approve the FY 2027 San Diego Housing Commission budget as proposed, with the following modifications. One, which is $2.6 million for the City of San Diego's Neighborhood Enhancement Fee Fund to be transferred to the Affordable Housing Preservation Fund to be managed by the Housing Commission, and 2 adjustments to conform to alternative homelessness program reductions adopted in the City of San Diego FY 2027 adopted budget, as described in the Independent Budget Analyst's Report, number 26-15 on pages 7 through 9. And this motion simply assures that in approving this budget, we make the necessary changes to match to the adopted budget that the council just passed right before this. Concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you, Council President Pro Tem. I believe you probably were aware of these changes? Yeah, okay. I see nodding heads. We'll go next to Councilmember Elo Rivera.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for the presentation here. I'll start by seconding the motion. Everything Council President Pro Tem said about the difficult circumstances that we're in. Lisa, thank you for making sure your team is out there and working to provide support. It would be good to know if the council could get an updated status. But I also want to recognize that every time we've been in a situation like this, I know you care enough to sometimes personally involve yourself in making sure that the folks are taken care of to the best of your ability, and that's incredibly difficult because the resources that you are provided to deal with the whole thing is not enough. And I know that if you had your way, everyone would be taken care of in a much better way than we currently take care of people. I just want to respond to that. If you want to, you can.
I guess I will just say, so we weren't unaware of this woman's case, and our homeless team and our rental assistance team has been working together on this. It's a lot to unravel, but it feels like there are sort of multiple places where either the system or the regulations failed this client, whether it's property management, supervision, voucher requirements, that there's sort of multiple things that came together that did not serve her, and she felt that net. And that is obviously very concerning, and really demonstrates that our programs still need to improve and look different than they do when the programs that are supposed to keep people housed end up potentially penalizing them, right? And when service provision isn't enough to actually help them navigate that. So we're doing what we can to look into it, and we're looking for it.
I appreciate that, and there's parts of this that are, as you said, difficult to unravel. There's a lot going on. And some of it, just could be about designing a system that doesn't treat every person seeking assistance as a suspect, and instead shows up to support them and say no one should be homeless because housing is a human right, and we're going to start from there. But that's not the system that's been built. And until that's the way we approach things, we're not going to be doing folks we're not going to be treating people as well as we should. At the same time, you have, again, fewer resources than you should be working with. Those resources are being, a chainsaw is being taken to them at the federal level, and that's unacceptable as well. And so, while I won't go on too long about this, because I know it's been a long day, but it is so frustrating to see folks showing up needing this sort of assistance. And yes, people sleeping outside this building while we are spending billions of dollars on an unnecessary war, while we are giving away handouts to billionaires, while we are doing everything except taking care of the most vulnerable people. And at the local level, also not willing to make people who have multiple homes pay their fair share, not asking some of the wealthiest corporations in the country to pay their fair share. All of that is happening. We could have dedicated resources to take care of people better. So just like the city budget is an opportunity for choices, there are choices that are involved in why we are where we are. I will just finish by expressing the appreciation that Council President Pro Tem shared for you seeing this and acting, making difficult decisions earlier rather than later to avoid the painful decisions that we're wrestling with from being even more painful. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my second.
All right, so we have a motion by Council President Pro Tem Ling, second by Councilmember Elo Rivera, as shown up on the screen. And thank you, Council President, for dotting the i's and crossing the t's to make sure that the two actions today correlated. We'll go next to Councilmember Von Wilbert.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, thank you, President Pro-Tem, for making sure these match. And thank you for the work and the presentation, and for assisting the gentleman outside. I also want to thank you for taking really strategic and very painful actions to right the ship, because we saw in the last 2 years reserves dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and it was unclear what was going to happen to the Housing Commission budget. These are not actions you wanted to take. You know, cutting personnel by 13%, $7 million is a lot. Dipping into reserves once again, because the cost of keeping up with the rent in San Diego is not fully funded by the vouchers that we get from the federal government. They haven't been listening for years about that. I mean, it is still remarkable that we're spending $340 million to assist 17,000 families. I don't want that to go unnoticed. That is a huge effort. We obviously need more. And I agree with Councilmember Elo Rivera that we shouldn't be spending billions of taxpayer dollars on a fruitless war in the Middle East and tax breaks to wealthy people and payouts to people on January 6th who wanted to do insurrections. That's not what our tax dollars should be used for. They should be used for homelessness and housing. That's not something you can control, or we can control here at the city level. But part of the problem that we're in is because of the values in Washington, D.C. that trickle down to us. So, and I know you're trying your best to advocate. I appreciate you've gone directly to D.C. to advocate with folks about what's happening. But I mean, this is not great that you have to make these changes, but I appreciate you doing the hard things to make sure that the budget is fiscally sound. I think my last question is just how can we be helpful in giving you the resources you need when further government cuts are going to hit? They're going to affect the folks who are in Section 8, you know, Medicaid cuts. If healthcare is about to be ripped away from people, we're already seeing SNAP benefits. People aren't signing up, so your folks are going to need more help. So how can we help?
They are, and part of it is going to be getting information out to folks about the community resources that are available to them. We have a much more robust community resource page on our website than we had before. We're pushing a lot of residents to our HB families as well around that information. So we'll make sure we're sharing this with you so that you're sharing this with your constituents. And that's from like boots on the ground, it's getting information out through all of your community reps. In that way, we've also worked with community-based organizations to help us make our website and our information when people reach out to us more robust. So our community partners have been really helpful. From an advocacy standpoint, and I just can't help but take this one to go back to a little bit of also, both you and Councilmember Elo Rivera said this is like, we have programs that maybe are sometimes, the regulations currently or requirements penalize people. And like we need them to be better. We need them to be supporting people and serving people. That's not what's happening at a federal level. At a federal level, those programs are getting more and more diluted from a sense of how few people can we serve. How few people can we serve? How can we restrict the type of people and populations we serve? So advocacy at a state, a local, and a federal level is more important than ever. And your support when we push back, when we take legal action against our own government to protect our families is important too, and we really value that, and thank you for that support.
Thank you very much, Council President.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Von Wilbert. We'll go next to Councilmember.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for the presentation about the work that's gone into the budget. Thank you to Council President Pro Tem Lee for the amendment. I'll be supporting this. And Ms. Jones, thank you for sharing what you know so far about the situation that the constituent who apparently lost her housing is dealing with. Your team is out there trying to assist her. My staff is out there trying to help. I would like it if your team could follow up with my office on this, just so that we can understand what happened. But as she was surrounded by the best and the brightest, and I'm confident that, you know, people are gonna help her to the degree that we can. I'm a little concerned about what else may be going on out there that is causing people to fall through the cracks, which, as you said, it's a very complex system. There's just a lot going on, but if it's possible that there are other people falling through the cracks, I would want to know why that might be, and more importantly, what we can do to prevent that.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure that the entire council gets an update as well. And when we do see things come up where we see, oh, this is a systemic issue, not a one-off, then we certainly look to where we can make improvements on that. That also helps, like on the homelessness side, obviously we do compliance, but on the voucher side, it's how we work with our partners. This is a partner project with St. Teresa's, Father Joe's, and the county as well. So yeah, there's a lot of players.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you, Council President.
All right, thank you, Councilor Byrne. So does she have someplace to work tonight?
That offer's been made, I don't know what, but I'll find out.
Okay, thank you. I see some nodding heads. I appreciate the work you do. I'm not sure where Commissioner Fishman was going, but I know that if you didn't tighten down on the budget, that you were on a path to insolvency, and that really may have protected somebody for a few short amount of time, and it would have been an unacceptable outcome. So you made the hard choices. I think you made harder choices than we've made here at City Hall. But it's very much appreciated the insolvency and the continuing work despite the changing landscape is certainly the priority. So, thank you, Council President Pro Tem Lee, for really leading and understanding and amending the action. So with that, we do have a motion by Council President Pro Tem Lee, as shown on the screen, seconded by Councilmember Elo Rivera. Please call the roll, please.
I'm sorry, the vote, so please cast your vote. That passes unanimously, 7-0, with Councilmember Moreno and Councilmember Campbell absent. Thank you, Council President.
All right, thank you. One last thing to do. We will now take up Housing Authority non-agenda public comment. Housing Authority members respect and appreciate the public's input. I'm fully committed to protecting every participant. Free speech right at the Housing Authority meeting. Clerk, please proceed to public comment.
Thank you, Council President. For Rule 2.7 non-agenda public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Housing Authority. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. If you're in chambers, please submit your speaker slip. If you're joining us virtually, please raise your hand by tapping the raise your hand icon or your phone participant *9. Joyce and Yada, if you can please come forward. After that is allegedly adjourned.
Okay, you see this? This was fairly polished, about 6 pages, which I did very late last night. 4 hours sleep when I woke up this morning. And now, 12 hours under my belt? But I want to speak very extemporaneous to you on the homeless issue and the issue of living this life. I want you to know that we are all doing our best. And I want you to believe that. I want you to wake up every single morning and pat yourself on the back. Because we are doing our best. I have worked with the homeless for 18 years on many levels. We can't help them really. It's too big. It's individual. It's vast. Their stories are vast. Just like our lives are vast. I want us to quit, to just live it. Just live the miracle that we are setting on, that we are angry about, that we are blaming people about. This is a miracle, and it goes by in a blink. Believe me, I know it. It's going by in a blink. Don't miss it. You guys that have these little bitty beautiful babies, don't miss it. Don't get angry at the federal government. Just do your fight. But at night, laugh at it all. Hug those babies and know that you are doing the best. Do you believe me? I know it for sure. I get it. I got it. Thank God.
thank you for that concluding comment. Allegedly, Audra, if you can please come forward.
Yeah, I guess maybe treat this problem like if it was your child. I mean, this is a systemic issue, and it's like we can blame Washington, D.C. all we want. That compounds on the problem, but this has been going on forever. And it's sad because it is a community problem. And like Henry was talking about, I mean, our community's been fractured because of people like you. So it's like the left and the right, let's fight each other instead of joining together and actually not turning away from the suffering. And that's what happens, people turn away from it because it's really hard to look at. And it's like, what I deal with child trafficking, it's very difficult. And that's why most people want to just push it away. And it's like the homeless, it's like, it's easier to walk over them. It's easier to save them down the street because you're an eyesore than to actually go and help them. And it's like, you guys, you do your budget and you do these contracts and you kind of leave it there. But this room would be over full with the amount of people that have this same issue this woman has. But they can't. They're afraid to come up here. Afraid of retaliation, afraid of something worse happening than being evicted. And it's like, there are a lot of players, and that's the problem, is that it goes out to so many people that it's like, if you want to deal with it, you got to go to them, and then they send you over here, and then they send you over here. And that's why the system doesn't work, but it should, because people should feel like they belong enough to be taken care of. And that's why I say, what if it was your child? I don't feel like you guys would act the same. And I just feel like it's like if you did.
Natalie Rashford, if you can please come forward.
Hi, just 2 more minutes. I really wish I could have let you finish listening to Robert Edward Grant's solution on how we build shelters and involve and how we build them and how they're placed in community involvement while they're there in the shelter. That woman was having a panic attack, is basically what's happening. And I feel for her because that is how I feel, but I don't have the panic attack. And that's a really crappy feeling to have, is having a panic attack is the probably worst things. I have 4 children that I'm raising in this society, and it's mind-blowing what's happening. Mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And so at least when my children grow up and they hear about all these horrible things that are happening in our administration, they're going to ask me, Mom, why didn't anybody do anything? And like Joyce said, and HUD should be held accountable. How we make that happen, I don't know. I don't know. I pulled my kids from public school. Everybody pull your kids from public school. We're going to have to sacrifice at some point something to regain power back for the people. They're supposed to work for us. Somehow the switch flipped. But this is getting way out of control. And now with this disclosure movie, they're trying to use fear, mental warfare on people. Do the research. There are multidimensional beings that are interacting. Do the research, and they're using fear.
Thank you. I'm sorry, the 5-minute timer. Oh, Castronova, sorry. Samantha Castronova. You'll have 2 minutes. Please proceed.
Good evening, council members. The timer was at 2 minutes, is that correct? Okay, you had said 5. 2, that's great. I'm learning how to speak in 1 minute and 2 minute blocks. So thank you for bearing for me and learning how to do that. Hope to get much better. The things I want to mention right now is I'm just planting a seed of thought and I hope it's appropriate to plant these seeds. If not, please let me know. When you're considering right now, I believe it's 10% when there's new properties that are built. 10% should be, and you know the language, I'm learning this topic right now, and I plan to learn it better, but I'm hoping that some way, somehow, we can increase it to 20% or maybe more, because right now, if a 40-unit building is built, 10% is only 4 units, and that's incredibly competitive. And even if you think about just everyone out there that's trying to be able to afford rent, that's a number. The next thing we plan to see on is, let's see, when people are left unhoused by court things, such as probate, and when estates are settled, often family members will be left without shelter, just the way things go, also in family court. If there can be some sort of, I don't know what the right word is to use, legislation, laws, that the ones not being unhoused somehow think about that and provide shelter for those becoming unhoused by probate and family court issues. I'm gonna have to think of a better way to present that. And also, yeah.
Thank you for your comments. I started the 5-minute timer. Going to participating online, we have Blair Beekman. You can please unmute. And after that is Francis.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Shop for non-agenda public comment or housing issues. Thank you for our items overall, how we are trying to address our budget, how it works in with housing issues. I've been learning important lessons that city government in San Diego is trying to address extremely low and very low income housing more. I'm trying to find how that is happening and understand that better. And there's a commitment to that and how to understand that. So I'm hopeful in what you can be doing in those terms to address our very low and extremely low in this new state year coming up. And what Joyce was saying, I have a bit of hope in what we're doing at this time is going to set a good pace for how we consider our budget issues in the coming years. I'm not certain, but I'm hopeful if that can be of any help to this situation. So hopeful, in fact, that over the next few days, I hope to talk more about ALPR items to address, short-term changes to the current block program that can bring a new ALPR vendor at a much lower cost budget-wise and save you budget dollars. I'm surprised no one talked about that today. To talk about that in the coming week, we have a little bit of time left here in June to talk about our budget stuff. Good luck how we can do that, and I'll be talking about that kind of stuff later in this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. If you can please unmute.
Hi. So I guess I want to talk about what I see as an elephant in the room. Just before this, some of y'all voted for $2 million for Flock, and then turn around and are like, saying that you want to do everything to help everyone who's fallen through the cracks. That $2 million on Flock literally could be going directly into saving people's lives and pulling people off the streets today and keeping people off the streets. And I think Marty, I have to call you out. Like, it's really tone deaf for you to have just voted for that and then say that you can't control things and that the federal government is just voted for their surveillance. I mean, come on. Let's use that money and create a real emergency plan. Like, we're at the point where we need to create a tent city. Let's think out of the box. Let's create some sort of shelter that can actually not get nasty. I mean, let's look at Burning Man and outdoor wilderness camping and like, you know, let's start to, you know, stop just spending money on things and of course the bureaucracy. We gotta get out of the bureaucracy. Well, and I also want to go back to the surveillance. You know, a big other part is we know the surveillance is keeping track of the unhoused folks and making sure they don't get into the nice neighborhoods. You know, and we got every dollar to be used on a social worker, on a librarian. That's going to be solving problems. We know that a lot of money is getting wasted on things that are just keeping some people safe, but are literally, again, those are people stepping over the other people. America's supposed to be a place where we help each other, and it's up to us to do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my agenda public comment for the Housing Authority.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. We will now adjourn as the Housing Authority and reconvene as the City Council. And so, City Clerk, you and your team, I want to thank you once again for a very long day and how you handle it. And also City 24 stays up late with us. Very much appreciate that. And our executive detail for the good work that you do. And for the souls that stuck around all day long. We will now adjourn council to the next regularly scheduled council meeting on Monday, June 15th, 2026 at 10 a.m.
What? Oh, God, no.
Actually, no, I won't, because after I said that we signed, yeah, right, I started
All right, well, it's never a dull moment in San Diego. You guys stay tuned. Tomorrow's Board of Supervisors, but interesting that ALPR is still here, and they said flock you to the people. So, yeah, surveillance, digital prison is here, and people are only worried about the ALPR. There are so many other things to be worried about, especially with Palantir and these data centers and just their use of AI. Anyway, stay tuned, stay classy.